Hey everyone, what is up? It's your girl Jasminder, aka Passion Political, and I'm here today to talk to you about the 2019 Canadian elections. The elections are coming up. They're on October 21st, which is basically a little over a week from now, and I'm so excited. One of the biggest issues that I find, however, is there is just so much information out there and it's overwhelming. The goal of the video series that I'm going to be making over the next week is basically just to democratize knowledge. That's just a fancy word for saying that there is so much bullshit and so much confusing shit out there, and people are just confused. It's one thing if you kind of like keep up with politics, watch the news all the time, all those things, but it's a completely different thing if you want to go out, you want to vote, you want to make an informed decision, but at the same time it's kind of hard to do that because there's so much knowledge out there and it's hard. Like, ain't nobody got time for that, so I am here to help you save time. So over the next week, I'm basically going to be releasing little 5-minute videos about what each party's platform consists of. So what are basically their main campaign promises, and this is just promises that they've made to you as voters, that if I get elected and our party ends up leading the House of Commons, what are the bills, what are the laws that we're going to pass, and then you get to make a decision on how you're going to vote based on whether or not you want certain laws in place. I've linked below a schedule of all of the videos that I'm going to be dropping and on what dates. So today I'm going to be talking about the 6 main political parties. I'm going to be talking about what their stances are, aka how they fall on different issues. First, I'm going to start off by talking about the political spectrum. So one of the things that people might find confusing when they hear is when people say, oh, I'm left-wing, or oh, I'm right-wing. And basically this just means that you support certain policies which fall a certain way. So the spectrum of left wing to right wing basically varies from super liberal kind of policies all the way over to super conservative kind of policies. So here in Canada, we don't really have parties that fall super far to the left or super far to the right. And basically we kind of have parties that are more in the center, and we have parties that are center left, center right, and more left wing and more right wing. People that are more left wing fall much more towards the socialist kind of perspective, and the people that fall towards the right wing kind of fall into like this capitalist conservative kind of perspective. Okay, so what does it mean to even be left wing or right wing, and what kind of policies would you basically support? So basically, the people that fall onto the left wing, they kind of have this idea of society could be a better place and we could use government in order to help it get there. On the right wing, you have this idea that, we should kind of allow people to kind of do whatever they are doing, intervene as less as possible in terms of social policies. I've also linked a really cute, really easy to read infographic in the description box down below. And you can basically click it and just kind of see what does being left wing versus right wing equal in the home, at work, and in larger society as well. So where do all of the political parties fall on this spectrum? The 2 main parties in Canada that have had elected prime ministers are, the Liberals and the Conservatives. The Liberals fall towards the center left, and the Conservatives fall towards the center right. Left of the Liberals, you have the NDP, and kind of left of that you have the Greens, and then the Bloc Québécois, they kind of fall also more towards the left wing side, along with the NDP and the Green Party. And then on the right hand side, we talked about the Conservatives, which are center right, and then we have the People's Party of Canada, which is all the way towards the right and very much falling into that conservatism. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick summary of what each of those 6 parties believes and how they kind of want to create their policy. So I'm going to start off with, the Liberals, and this is because they are the current governing party of Canada. So the Liberal Party is led by Justin Trudeau, and he is the individual that has been the Prime Minister over the last 4 years. The Liberals basically present themselves as fiscally responsible but socially progressive. So that means in terms of money, they support capitalism, but in terms of their social policies, they kind of want those to be a little bit more progressive. So the Liberals strongly support unrestricted abortion, they strongly support LGBTQ plus rights, as well as high rates of immigration, but they also favor a free market economy in which businesses are not subject to that much regulation. The Conservatives, which I mentioned, are center-right, are led by Andrew Scheer. So their party supports low taxes, smaller, less intrusive government, a strong law and order regime, a strong military, and a respect for tradition. The NDP is led by Jagmeet Singh, who is the first non-white, non-Catholic person of color to be the leader of a major Canadian political party. The NDP is in favor of a social democratic society in which you have a mixed economy, and this basically means that the government tightly regulates the economy but doesn't control it. So oftentimes people see the NDP party as very similar to the Liberal Party. However, they do have more liberal views on things like taxing the wealthy and large corporations, environmental regulation, and non-interventionist foreign policy. Also on the left-hand side of the political spectrum, we have the Green Party of Canada led by Elizabeth May. She's the only political party leader in this election who identifies as a woman. The Greens party platform seems a little intuitive. I mean, they're called the Green Party, so, you know, one of the major things with their party is basically saying that we need to make a huge change in terms of the climate. They kind of present themselves as outsiders because, you know, they usually don't get a lot of seats within the House of Commons. They haven't been able to win more than one. However, they have gained a lot of traction within provincial government. So they kind of take this outsider status and use it to kind of market themselves as the political party that is outside of the mainstream of Canadian politics. The last party that we have here on the left side of the spectrum is the Bloc Québécois. The Bloc Québécois is led by Yves-François Blanchet, and basically one of their main goals is to separate Quebec from the rest of Canada and become its own independent party. People that support, Quebec separating from the rest of Canada are known as separatists, and this is a political party that basically supports separatism. The Bloc only runs candidates within Quebec, which means that they would never be able to form a government, within the Canadian House of Commons. But the point of this is basically to opt out of federal Canadian politics. As many Bloc MPs have said in the past, is the only reason why they even go to Ottawa is basically to represent the interests of Quebec within Canada. And last, we have, back to the right side of the spectrum, the People's Party of Canada. The People's Party of Canada is led by Maxime Bernier, who basically quit the Conservatives when Andrew Scheer was elected and went to go start a party of his own, which he claimed was more conservative than the Conservatives, which is true. He's also more conservative than conservatives on issues especially pertaining to immigration and multiculturalism. This is the first time that the People's Party of Canada is going to be running in a Canadian election, and the only elected MP that they have is Maxime Bernier himself. And last, we have fringe parties. They kind of just have a limited appeal to all Canadian voters, and this is usually because they kind of have extreme political views one way or the other, and they don't garner that much public attention or public support, and they're not considered that important to Canadian politics. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I know that this was kind of a lot of information, but I do feel like it's important to have kind of an overall idea of what each party stands for. And then, based off of what each party stands for, what I'm going to be talking about over the next few days is going to make a lot more sense, because you get to see what the baseline of each party is and how they're going to be making electoral promises based on, their overall ideologies and the overall ideas that back up their party. For more information on how to vote and how to figure out whether or not you're eligible to vote, I'm going to be providing some links in the description box down below, so be sure to check those out. Also, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for a lot more political content on the Canadian elections and more content in general. Thanks again for tuning in today. In the meantime, stay posh, definitely stay political, and be sure to vote.